I love putting my music into the hands of different people and letting go of the piece to performers that I trust, to see what they'll do with it. Over the years, I've really changed a lot with respect to my desire to work with a specific performer when I'm writing a piece. When you're in university, you often just kind of write stuff and people play it, right? But the older I get, the more I don't want to write something unless I'm writing it for someone specific. And to take it a step further, writing it with someone specific. The collaboration that happens between you, the composer, and a performer, it seems like it's becoming more and more and more important to me. And that's for a number of reasons. One, because I really like the process of tailoring a piece to someone as I'm writing it, okay? So I like this process of working with someone. I write down a bunch of sketches and a bunch of different ideas, and then we look at all the ideas before I start actually writing anything, and this idea works, and that one's too technical, and you kind of get this palette of ideas, and then so you have a basis, you have a starting point for the composition. And it's a starting point that's not merely rooted in a piece of text or some abstract concept, but it's also rooted in the person that you're writing for, right? And then I don't know if I'm starting to just lose all sense of patience as I get older or what, but I don't love this process of writing something, workshopping it, fixing, workshopping, fixing, workshopping. I would just kind of rather write it with and for the person that I'm writing. And so all of those changes get made as you go, right? I think any composer who doesn't seriously absorb performance advice from the person that they're writing for is in trouble. I think a composer must absorb and respect the performance experience and advice that they receive from the person they're writing for. And what happens when a composer does that is that the piece is just elevated. All right? I can give you a specific example of this. In my opera, Le Falouette, there's this place where one of the characters, Valier, is singing this kind of heroic type of a passage, right? And he sings a line, and the male chorus, 30 voices, echoes the line. And then he sings another line, and then the chorus joins him, and together they sing the final line, right? And so I had written what I had written, and we were rehearsing this, and the tenor comes to me and says, "Oh, Kevin," he says, here at the last line where Valier joins the chorus, what you've written for me here is fine, but it's not really like what a tenor would do in this type of a situation. Like the tenor would go up and sing on top of the chorus so that you can then hear the heroic tenor over the top of the chorus, right? And I said, oh, okay, yeah, I understand that. It's a very Verdi kind of a thing to do, and it's a Mahler thing, and it's, it's a very standard thing. And so we changed that passage to do that, and it just lit that passage up. It was hero, chorus, hero, and then, it just flowered, it blossomed, and it was spectacular. And if I hadn't listened to that tenor, that passage would have been ordinary. And I don't think a composer can underestimate the value that comes from the value and the way that respecting that input and taking that input to heart can elevate a piece. After premiere, the piece gets released out into the ether, and then what happens? Who picks it up? What happens to the piece from there? And how does that affect the piece? How do these different approaches to the piece, different interpretations of the piece, affect the piece? Many years ago, this is many years ago now, the Astor Chamber Music Society did a choral piece of mine, a short little kind of 21st century motet type of a thing. And they performed it very light and brisk, exactly the way I had written it, and that was great. And they did a fantastic job, and I was very happy. And then, 2 years later, they actually did so this isn't a different performer. It was the same group, but the second time around they did the piece very differently. They did it much slower and much more romantically and much more, with a lot more attention to the line instead of the verticalities. And it was like a different piece, and I loved it. Right? So I think the great thing about handing a piece to different performers is that a composer begins to get a sense of what their piece can be when they're not in control of it, right? And I think it's a good piece is a piece that can be performed and interpreted in different ways by different trustworthy performers, and maybe even sometimes some not trustworthy performers. But I think a composer doesn't always realize the potential for a piece when they release it, and I think that it's a wonderful thing to hear your piece be something that you didn't know it could be.